Part 46. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 473. What happened? Ika's brain cannot comprehend even the simplest of questions, even if he sees them with his own eyes. Lelicia stopped chasing Ika and explained what Ika couldn't understand with a laugh that was not moved by the bloody scene in front of her. This is the characteristic of Miss Lulu's magic costume. As you have personally experienced this feeling, she can eliminate magic particles in the entire space like a magic circle composed of the remains of the world tree. The little girl over there should also be able to. Can't you move? I have not. Although she said this unwillingly, Wei 11, who had lost all her magic power, did not have the strength to stand up and walk to Ika and Lulu just as Lelicia said. I really didn't expect that Miss Lulu could break free from the mental shackles of absolute royal power with just her own strength. You two, brother and sister, may surprise me at any time. Lelicia's voice did not reach Ika's consciousness. At this time, Ika only felt that all his emotions had been burned out, and he was surrounded only by the feeling of falling into the abyss of despair. In front of his eyes, there were only muddy colors of red and white mixed together. The white skin, the red blood, and the dress soaked in thick blood clung to the petite body that was gradually losing its temperature. They all presented a blurry image in Ika's eyes. The blood that splashed out originally had heat, but it had lost that heat when it flowed to Ika's body. Lulu released her hands that were tightly grasping Ika's chest. She had lost the strength to touch Ika again. Ika didn't dare to lift her face buried in his chest, and didn't dare to see her dying expression. Lelicia looked down at the brother and sister, who were covered in blood and sitting on the ground hugging each other. Have you finished saying goodbye? Then it's time for us to say goodbye. Anyone can see that Ika has no ability to resist. I'm a little interested in the little girl over there. Let's keep her as a pet. All Lelicia needed to do was take matters into her own hands and send him on his way. At this moment, time stopped. It was a void space lit by aqua blue phosphorescence, surrounded by sparkling waves like water, and the silence revealed a sense of mystery. Ika came out of her trance. There was no figure of Lulu in his arms, and the blood stains all over his body had disappeared, as if he had just stood here and had a nightmare from the beginning. Hello, Brother Sama. A familiar voice in my memory came from behind. Ika turned around. I don't know since when, the girl stood behind him. She was wearing the white dress that Ika remembered, and her appearance overlapped with the family members in his childhood memories. The girl is not Lulu. Although she is exactly the same as Lolo in childhood, they are still two completely different people. Ika firmly believes in this feeling, and he seems to have realized where he is now. This is our first meeting, brother. I am a magic suit who has signed a contract with Lulu in one direction. You can call me by the name of Orchid Heart. Is this, Lulu's spiritual world? Yes, she bowed slightly to Ika. I invited my brother to enter here. Behind Orchid Heart, an oval egg stood quietly. The surface of the eggshell flashed with aqua blue phosphorescence that constituted the void space. The magic pathway didn't respond, but Ika had no reason to believe that Lolo was in the oval egg. He was about to take steps towards the oval egg, but Orchid Heart did not make way for him. Not yet. My mission is to maintain the balance between you and her, but now I am restricted by forces from the outside. This is the only way to maintain the balance between you and her without being destroyed. Lulu can't wake up from his sleep. Lolo can't sleep forever. She still has a lot of things she wants to do, and we still have a long way to go in the future. So I have to take Lulu back. This is my responsibility as an elder brother. Brother, do you have the courage to take on her future? What does Chi-Chi mean? It is to take Rolona as one's own and accept all her power. This must require tens of millions of times stronger mental power than the mental space to accommodate the magic equipment. Can Sir Brother still maintain himself after doing this? Everything about Lululo belongs to me, and it is my responsibility to accept everything about her. Why are you so confident? That kind of thing, you don't need to think about it at all. It was as if the girl in front of her at this moment was her younger sister. Aika's words were not only an answer to Orchid Heart's question, but also a promise to her sister, because I am an older brother. Isn't it natural to protect your sister? Orchid Heart chose to accept Aika's determination. The girl's figure quietly disappeared from the spot and reappeared next to the oval egg not far away. She stared at Aika, as if waiting for him to come over. Aika stepped forward and walked to the phosphorescent egg where Lolo was sleeping. He recalled the last night the two spent in the dream created by Orchid Heart. Maybe Lululo has forgotten that night now, but Aika still remembers it fresh. There is only one thing I can promise you. I will always be your brother. Your joy, happiness, sorrow, and pain, all emotions belong to me. Not just all the feelings, everything about you belongs to me. So even if you leave my side now, I will definitely snatch you back. At that time, all the control was in my hands. That night, he made a promise to Lululo, leaving Lululo with hope and confirming his goals after that. Lululo, during the days when you were away, I never thought that lonely time would be so torturous. Aika's palms caressed the smooth eggshell, conveying the longings gushing from the depths of her heart to the sleeping beauty in the phosphorescent egg. There was a crack in the eggshell that glowed with light phosphorescence. The crack extended on the surface of the eggshell in a zigzag manner, and finally shattered silently. In the scattered aqua-blue phosphorescence, the sleeping girl leaning on the high-backed chair exposed her entire body in front of Aika. Aika took a step forward without thinking, took Sleeping Beauty's hand, and lovingly hugged Lululo's petite and luxurious body. Lilicia's expression changed when she was convinced of victory. She forcibly stopped waving her folding fan, and quickly closed the distance between her and Aika. The magic power around Aika surged, and the huge magic power even caused the atmosphere to distort. That is definitely not a force that a human body can withstand. At this moment, Wei 11 felt that the lost magic power returned to her body. The magic is restored. In the center of the rising magic power, Aika still sat on her knees with her head lowered. He held the dying Lululo in his arms, and his whole body was stained with Lululo's blood. Only a few seconds had passed since Lilicia blocked Aika's attack. In these few seconds, neither Lilicia nor Wei 11 knew what happened to the brother and sister. The wound on Lululo's back healed at a speed visible to the naked eye in the light blue magic light. What have you done? Aika didn't answer Lilicia's cold question. She just took off her blood-stained coat and threw it aside. Then she took off her clean shirt and put it on Lolo's body. Aika's arms were now naked. Wei 11 blushed and hurriedly raised her hands to cover her eyes, but couldn't help but secretly look at Aika through her fingers. Wei 11, if Tong uses all her strength, can your barrier withstand it? Hitomi's full strength should be enough. My barrier can definitely protect brother Aika and Lolo. What about protecting us while preventing Hitomi's attack from spreading outside? I think Hitomi's full attack may completely destroy the imperial capital. That can't be done. The scope is too big. Then don't worry about me. Just protect yourself and Lolo, and then limit Hitomi's full attack here. Don't worry about you, does brother Aika want to? Wei 11 finally understood what Aika meant and shook her head vigorously, completely unwilling to compromise. Absolutely not. I am brother Aika's magic costume, absolutely brother Aika cannot be allowed to take risks alone. Believe me. 3 simple words, but they had the power to convince Wei 11 from the bottom of her heart. Immediately afterwards, silver white and aqua blue magic circles were deployed on the left and right sides of Aika, which were symbols of the eyes of fiery flame and the orchid heart. Although I don't know what you did, it seems that you gained the ability of orchid heart. But Miss Lululo's absolute royal power does not work on me. You don't need to talk nonsense, I know. When Lilicia noticed something unusual, A pale green ball of light was peeled off from the folding fan in her hand. How come the fallen leaves of the world tree? Aren't you very familiar with Pansy's abilities? Ika took advantage of Pansy's ability to repel the magic of the world tree, and forcibly eliminated the effect of Lilicia's use of the fallen leaves of the world tree to transform the folding fan into a magic weapon. Hitomi. Ready. Way 11 had finished singing between the conversation between Ika and Lilicia. The pure white magic power was like an inverted giant bowl, completely sealing the main hall of Augustus Castle. Beside Way 11 and Luo, several small magic arrays rotated like snowflakes. They were rock-solid magic shields protecting the two of them. After passing through the barrier of the sealed hall, Hitomi's full attack will be infinitely compressed inside the barrier, reaching hundreds or thousands of times its original power. To protect herself from such an attack, Way 11 could only assume the confidence of two people. Because Ika made herself believe in him, that was not the look in her eyes that she was prepared to die generously. Ika would never leave her behind. So Way 11 chose to believe. The silver-white geometry began to depict countless huge gear graphics, which looked like some kind of design stuck on the drawing paper. The gears depicted by the geometric shapes do not constitute some kind of magic machine as an independent individual, but seem to be transforming the entire space, creating a mechanical city made up of huge gears interlocking with each other. City of Silver, that is the ultimate weapon that cannot be compared with any kind of magic machine. The silvery white light of the sun filled the entire mechanical city, and the power that created the world quickly reached a critical point as it circulated. Hitomi came to Ika holding a red paper umbrella, and Ika held her little hand. Mechanical alchemy, endless silver machine. The mechanical city burst out with dazzling silvery light, and the torrent of magic power that could destroy the entire imperial city instantly filled Way 11's barrier. At this moment, Orchid Heart also came to Ika's side, and her little hands were as warm as Luo. Everything of me and her will be entrusted to you. Ika accepted everything that belonged to Lolo, including her healing magic. But in the blue ocean of Orchid Heart, the nature of the healing magic has changed. Bathed in silvery light, Ika is like a phoenix bathing in fire, withering and reborn again and again. The armies of the undead all over the BZ Empire began to disintegrate, and the scarlet blood gradually faded from the sky. Way 11's barrier is like a golden city soup pool, completely blocking the power released by the Silver City within the main hall of Augustus Castle. No one even knew that such a world-shaking battle took place in the silent Augustus Castle. And it was that battle that opened up a new pattern for the entire world. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 474. October, 917th year of the new calendar. The Bis Empire lost its former prosperity due to the incident caused by Lilicia, but the magic technology accumulated by the great country for hundreds of years was not lost. Relying on the more fully developed magic technology, the Bis Empire was rebuilt faster than before, and it took only 3 months to restore 80% of the functions of the entire territory. Today is exactly the 4th month since the end of the war between humans and the undead army, and it also happens to be the annual founding anniversary of the Bis Empire. The imperial capital ushered in the most glorious day of the year. The shadow of war was completely overshadowed by the festive atmosphere. Colorful petals and light pieces of paper could be seen flying everywhere on the streets, and orchestral instruments played endlessly. Among the unprecedented grand celebrations, there is another highlight. On the anniversary of the founding of the country, celebrated with great joy, a speech will be held to welcome the new ruler's succession. This speech will symbolize the BZ Empire entering a new historical stage and will be broadcast live to the entire continent. Lan Mingyila and Zimingyila jointly succeeded the queen of the Bis Empire, creating the first era in the history of the Bis Empire in which two rulers worked hand in hand. I am doubly grateful to be able to succeed the queen of the Bis Empire. As the royal sister, Lan Mingyila took the stage to speak first. In front of the media cameras, She had a soft expression and a steady temperament. The two sisters who have gone through many twists and turns are able to stand in their current position as a result of being recommended by thousands of citizens. Therefore, the people Lan Mingyila is grateful to at this moment are all the citizens of the BZ Empire. In the administrator's cabin of Frost Moon Academy, Ika's family was sitting around the sofa in the living room watching the live broadcast of the speech. Lan Ming seems to have changed a lot since before. Looking at Her Royal Highness the Princess on the screen, she should now be called Her Royal Highness the Queen, wearing a gorgeous yet majestic royal dress. Ika didn't know what she was feeling and murmured to herself. Although I didn't say it to anyone specifically, the three girls sitting so close naturally heard it clearly. I feel that Sister Lan Ming's current appearance is not much different from when we met in August, brother. You feel that way because... Ika almost blurted out something, but immediately realized that such words should not be said at this time, so she closed her mouth unnaturally. Ling and Wei 11 both thought about what Ika was about to blurt out without thinking about it, and looked at him with reproachful eyes without any trace. After a moment, Luoluo also realized the reason why Ika kept silent, and her expression was stained with a hint of guilt and apology. That's because when Lan Ming received such a heavy blow, she left everyone's side. During the time when Her Royal Highness's heart was the most fragile, she did not take every moment into consideration. That's what Ika wanted to express, but saying those words was like deliberately blaming Luoluo, so he didn't say it. After the war in the imperial capital ended, Ika finally rescued Lolo from the Nemesis Society. After that, Ika did not use the so-called tolerant mind to forgive her for leaving without asking anything. That kind of approach will only make Luoluo's guilt towards everyone accumulate in his heart, forming an invisible shackles, and at the same time, it will also form an invisible wall between his family members. So, as soon as Luoluo recovered enough to get out of bed, Ika held a family meeting next to her bed. Looking back now, if I hadn't done that in the beginning, it might have been difficult for everyone to sit together happily like this. Even if 4 months have passed, that incident cannot simply be forgotten by everyone. If you want to return to the beginning, you may need more time to dilute the concerns that remain in everyone's mind. So now, everyone will try to avoid mentioning that matter again, but occasionally there will be situations like this time. Brother Ika wants to say, that the Sister Lan Ming you saw on the screen looks very powerful. That's probably what I mean. Ika quickly came to Wei 11's rescue, and the strange atmosphere between the four of them suddenly eased. Looking at her like this, I feel that Lan Ming and we are not from the same world. People. If Lan Ming hears you say such unreasonable words, she will definitely get upset. In fact, everyone knows the true character of Lan Ming, the queen. Really, Lan Ming has obviously given we sent an invitation to go to the venue, but you still insisted on staying so far away to watch the live broadcast. Don't you know that Lan Ming is planning to let us also go on stage to give speeches? In the past, it was easy to say that this would be a live broadcast across the entire continent. If it really turns out to be like that, we will really become famous. It's a rare opportunity to become famous. Why don't you cherish it? I never thought about becoming a celebrity. I finally got rid of all the troublesome things, and I want to enjoy a stable civilian life. You are saying irresponsible things again. Since you have decided to help Lan Ming, you should help her to the end. She obviously still has so many unresolved problems. I have made an agreement with Lan Ming and Zi Ming. If anything happens, I will go to them without hesitation. However, I feel that it will become very troublesome for political affairs. Please spare me. Ika looked with relief at Ling, who was aggrieved at herself for rejecting Lan Ming's invitation. Unknowingly, the relationship between Ling and Lan Ming has become very close. Maybe it was the time we spent together during the escape journey, right? Friendships between girls develop so quickly. What's wrong? That look in your eyes. After Ika and Ling changed the topic, Lululo also turned his attention back to the live broadcast on the screen. During the family meeting, she sincerely apologized to her family for her actions and expressed her feelings frankly. Although the mistake made cannot be undone, it will become an unforgettable experience in Lululo's life. The family members re-accepted themselves who had hurt them with their own hands. Although Lululo knew that Ika and the others would definitely do this, there was a feeling of guilt in his heart that he had taken advantage of their kindness. Despite this, Lululo is still very grateful to his family for accepting him again. Ling suddenly released her fingers from holding Ika's arm and pointed excitedly at the girl on the screen who was on stage. Ziming is on stage, and Anja is also there. It's really Sister Ziming, but why do you still use a wheelchair? After all, Ziming's dress was the most conspicuous in the previous battle, and it must have been kept as a dangerous weapon now. And for such a formal occasion, it is of course better to wear an ordinary dress to appear. Although Ika seemed to tell Wei 11 as if he knew the inside story, in fact, it was just that Ziming had answered the same question for him before. After the incident in the imperial capital ended, Ika and the others stayed in August for a while under Lan Ming's kindness. There, for the first time, everyone met the sister who Lan Ming had always cared about. Ziming also expressed his gratitude to everyone for taking care of his sister. The one who has changed the most must be Ziming, Ling said, looking at Ziming on the screen. Although I have never met her in person before, the image I imagined from Lan Ming's words about my sister are the Ziming I see with my own eyes is completely different now. Sometimes I wonder if Lan Ming doesn't know his sister well enough. Think about it, after all, we are a royal family, and there may be all kinds of hidden feelings among us that we don't know about. Category. My sister has such a personality, so my sister shouldn't be too different, right? Coming from your mouth, these words are surprisingly convincing. Ika heard the meaning behind Ling's words, but it was unclear what the specific hint was. Both you and Lululo are the kind of people who will keep their heads down and go to the end no matter what they decide. Although Lululo is usually obedient, he may still be unable to hold back at the critical moment. Ling's joking rant had a different meaning than before, and there was no hurtful innuendo in it. So although Lululo showed an embarrassed smile, he was in a very relaxed mood. Speaking of which, Sister Ling, will your family also appear in this speech? Okay, it seems so. Hearing Wei 11 ask this, Ling's cheeks turned red and she looked away from the live broadcast on the screen. I never heard my uncle say he would show up. On the contrary, Ika Biling, who was not involved, reacted even more intensely. Is it really okay for you, the heir to the Heinz family, not to go back? A family representative or something, if you come to power in that capacity, there will definitely be a lot of trouble coming your way. It seems we are all in the same boat. Don't confuse me with you. Our family has legitimately regained its aristocratic status. The troubles at this time are all political affairs. Under Ling's will, Wei 11 liberated the Heinz family that was frozen between the cracks in space. Seeing her relatives again, whom she had not seen for a year and whose life or death was uncertain, Ling's eyes became moist in front of everyone. The reception at Heinz's house was arranged jointly by Augustus and the Holy See. After Ling said hello to Ika and the others, he returned to his blood-related relatives and spent the rest of his time in the imperial capital. After a long absence, Ika was planning to leave all the rest of his time to Ling, so he took Lululo and Wei 11 back to Xuanjiao Academy first. Unexpectedly, the action plan was leaked from somewhere, and he was intercepted by Ling while waiting at the airport. Since you are leaving, why don't you take me with you? I said to you, it's rare to live with your relatives, so spend more time with them. In such a short time, you should be reluctant to leave here, right? Although this is the case. Let's go back to Shimizuki Academy first. If all four of us are absent for such a long time, we won't be able to get through. We'll help you deal with it at Shimizuki Academy first. You can come back anytime after you finish here. If I want to talk about my family. Ling, what did you just say? If we talk about family, aren't we also family? Don't make me say it. It was my parents who asked me to catch up. Hey hey hey. Put away the light flame sword quickly. All the airport security checks came over. Lan Ming is preparing to restore the Heinz family's aristocratic status with the surname. To be precise, he wants to rectify the names of the old aristocrats who were unfairly accused 100 years ago. This is just the beginning. The crimes of the Bis Empire 100 years ago gave birth to organizations like the Nemesis Society, and their existence even subverted history. In order not to repeat the same mistakes, Lan Ming and Ziming decided to cleanse the BZ Empire. Of course, this move cannot cover up the crimes that the BZ Empire has committed. There is still a long way to go, and it is also the goal that Lan Ming and Ziming have decided to fight for their entire lives. It must be the same for your Chiz family, right? After our family talks about it, your family will definitely be mentioned next. It must be worse for the Chiz family to not even have a spokesperson, right? After all, our family, how should I put it? Ika and Luolugo looked at each other and laughed bitterly in unison. Our family is the kind of hermetism that doesn't even tell the truth. Regarding this matter, after preparation, I will find a time to go home and talk to my parents about this issue. It's been 4 months, this kind of thing should have been done long ago. My brother and I were actually a little hesitant, so we never mentioned this matter. It is precisely because of the family's hidden identity and the magic costume that reveals their identity that the brother and sister will experience so many events that can change the world. To be honest, Ika no longer thinks there is anything worth worrying about now, but the thought of meeting her family members who don't know how many secrets they have hidden gives them a headache. I am really an unfilial son. Ika couldn't help but laugh at herself inwardly. After this semester's holiday, let's set off. Ling made a decisive decision for Ika and Luolugo who were hesitant. What are you deciding on your own? Let's go to your house to stay together for a while, and you guys will come to my house to stay for a while. In this case, wouldn't we be able to be together again during the entire holiday? Yeah, that's okay. Wei 11 suddenly realized. What do you mean by it's okay? This is a big problem. Any questions? Ling spoke righteously, but Ika didn't know what to say. It's nothing. Ika was very clear about their feelings for him. This trip home will definitely not be as simple as visiting relatives. Ika looked up at the women beside her. Wei 11 seemed to be looking forward to it. Ling's attitude was needless to say, and Luolugo just accepted the reality with a smile. Even if Ika has the power to change the world, he cannot change the girl's firm determination. Let it go. Ika used a stunt that could turn all worries into nothing and looked at the screen again. The two newly succeeded queens have finished their speeches, and next are the ministers. The Senate was dissolved. Emilius, the mastermind of the turmoil in the imperial capital, was confirmed to be dead. The remaining elders of the original radical faction were imprisoned. The original conservative elders formed a new functional department, the Council of Cardinals. Have decision-making authority. Today, the only decision-making powers in the Bis Empire are the royal family and the Holy See. The first Prince Lyman Yila is still the same. After the incident was over, he handed over all the work of the BZ Empire to Lan Ming and Ziming, and led his own troops and disappeared from the public eye again. The second prince, Philippe Hira, was imprisoned as a comrade of the radical faction of the Senate. After assisting Ziming in defeating Auguste's undead army, he did not choose to flee, but voluntarily accepted this outcome. What exactly he wants to do and what he wants to gain is probably unknown to anyone but himself. However, Ziming decided to postpone his punishment, hoping that during this period, he could get to know the emperor brother who could not understand him better in the past. The Bizi Empire and the Tiberai Kingdom have restored friendly cooperative relations, and the cooperative trade city construction plan proposed by Lanming has been restarted. At the same time, the gods and humans established formal diplomacy. This was an important moment that had never occurred since the cross-border war. Different races that were isolated from each other after the cross-border war gradually regained contact. It is said that in the near future, teacher Letica will go to the Bis Empire for a diplomatic visit with Ruby as the Queen of the Gods. But now she is working hard in the office every day to deal with the various chores that accumulated during the time she left Shigetsuki Academy. And Ruby, the sister of the Queen of the Gods, did not stay in the territory of the gods, but still traveled around the world with Philae's Sea Mist Fleet. Although Philae has completed the family trial, it seems that she does not want to return to the family to inherit the family business for the time being, but continues to travel around in search of a safe place for her children. As a result, the political affairs of the Protoss territory are still handled by instructor Letica's parents. But in the final analysis, the free-spirited Protoss who do not want to be bound by rules and regulations do not actually need many political affairs to be handled by the king. The Nemesis Society was not completely destroyed. It still exists in the shadows beyond the reach of light, but it has disappeared temporarily, and may one day make a comeback. Will and Misty have disappeared since disappearing from the mansion of Sentia Principality. They may have left the Nemesis Society and started traveling around the world as they agreed. This is just Ika's casual guess. For both of them, maybe this is the best ending. Komaka still survived the poisonous poison of Jack the Ripper. Perhaps the Puppet Master's cross strengthened her resistance to the poison. After Lilith defeated Number 5 in the underground space in the northwest district of the Imperial capital, she and Number 5 were arrested and taken into Petak Prison, which is dedicated to holding magic criminals. At Lilith's request, Brad Rossi opened the back door for her, and Number 5, who had an unclear relationship with the Nemesis Society, was interrogated by her. Lilith and Number 5 hid each other's secrets. What they didn't have time to finish after the battle in the underground space would be settled here without anyone interrupting them. At the last moment, Lilithiakuri used the remaining magic power of the fallen leaves of the World Tree to save her life from the full attack of Ika and Hitomi, and was also arrested and taken into Petak Prison. The position of the Kalu family was in jeopardy because of Lilitia, but considering that Lilitia was arbitrary and there was no reason for her family to be innocently implicated, Lanming decided not to convict the Kalu family. The crime can only be judged based on the behavior of an individual and should not violently implicate the entire family. Otherwise, more cancers like the Nemesis Society, which are composed of negative emotions, will emerge. By the way, Way 11. You said you were going to Sentia Principality tomorrow, right? Brother, there is no longer the title principal. The Principality of Sentia continues to exist in the simulated environment inside the World Tree built by Frost Moon Academy. Principal Philia commissioned Way 11 to use the same enchantment technique to move from the interior of the World Tree that was on the verge of collapse to a neutral area. The root of the World Tree Yggdrasil, was indeed completely destroyed after the incomplete magic spell was destroyed by Ika. Now, there is no longer the giant tree in the sky that connects the sky and the earth, only a small sapling swaying on the bottom of the deep sea. The light flame sword that controls the original elements is the incarnation of the World Tree's seed. Only she can plant a new World Tree when the World Tree collapses and stabilize the roots of the world. Well, Mephai's and I's mansion is going to be demolished. As the stronghold of the Nemesis Society, the mansion may contain various dangerous things, so the neutral zone decided to demolish the mansion. Then we have to go see each other for the last time. Let's go there together tomorrow. Ika touched Way 11's little head and helped her to cheer up. By the way, Liuyan said where to wait for us. Not yet, I'll ask again in the evening. Daily life flows slowly in the gaps, and there is no sense that the world's situation has undergone earth-shaking changes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. And La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 475. New calendar year 918, April. It is the season when cherry blossoms are in full bloom and spring is romantic. The new semester of Frost Moon Academy has started. Aika and the others have already entered the 3rd grade. The familiar seniors have entered a new future, and they have ushered in a new junior. Before they know it, they have become the highest graded seniors in Frost Moon Academy. So, Ika pushed open the door of the caretaker's hut and walked into the vestibule where the cherry trees were in full bloom. There were cushions on the lawn and furniture such as a dining table, which had been temporarily moved from the caretaker's hut. From the early morning when the young leaves are covered with dew, the vestibule has become very lively. Ika, you're not late, are you? You guys have caught up. Ika put the dishes he took out on the dining table beside him. I thought Zi Ming's admission procedures would be cumbersome, so I'm going to pick you up. In front of him, Lan Ming was walking over pushing Zi Ming's wheelchair. Both of them were wearing the spring uniforms of Shimatsuki Academy. Although they had seen the school uniforms countless times, they wore a sense of elegance that was different from royal dresses. As for the procedures, it's actually a bit cumbersome. But after I told you that there will be secret activities here, Teacher Litika and Principal Philia let us out. What kind of secret event? It's just an ordinary cherry blossom viewing party. Don't you think that as long as you add the word secret to something, it will really have an attractive sense of mystery? Aha! Ika tilted his hair and made a strange sound. He still couldn't understand the girl's sensibility well. After Lan Ming, Zi Ming, Charlotte, and Anji entered the Frost Moon Academy under the gracious invitation of the head of Philia Academy after the situation in the Bis Empire stabilized, they joined Ika and the others. Although their way of skipping grades in a row caused some students to have objections, but in the entrance test, the 4 of them all showed excellent results, and the voice of objection disappeared. Sitting in a wheelchair, Zi Ming nodded slightly to greet Ika. Senior Ika, I will be your junior from now on, please give me your advice. Wait a minute, we are students in the same grade, right? Could it be that Zi Ming has been enrolled in the 2nd grade? No, the academic system is indeed the 3rd grade. I mean the job of a librarian, Senior Ika. Ah, you mean that? Ika finally realized that he is indeed Zi Ming senior in the job of a librarian, but like us, students who are still working part-time in the 3rd grade are few. Why does Zi Ming want to become a librarian? Because I want to do some things that I don't usually touch in August. Besides, I want to do the same job as Senior Ika, can't I? It's not that you can't. It's okay to have such curiosity, but you should pay more attention to your body, otherwise Lan Ming and I will be worried. Well, I will do what I can. Thank you, Senior Ika, for your concern. Zi Ming responded with a smile to Ika and Lan Ming. When Lan Ming and Zi Ming met their gazes, they seemed to look away unnaturally, and Ika didn't know if it was his own illusion. In fact, the reason why Zi Ming decided to become a librarian was another reason that Ika did not know. That is to observe what kind of man is the man who can make his sister fascinated, but only Lan Ming and Zi Ming know the reason for this. So it turns out that my sister likes this type of boys? The way Zi Ming looks at Lan Ming also has the meaning of asking. Lan Ming, who understood the meaning of this, felt as if his younger sister supervised his love, so he looked away embarrassedly. Charlotte and Anja, have you helped me? In order to prevent Zi Ming from continuing to explore, Lan Ming had no choice but to shift the topic to the 2 people who were not around. It is indeed a great help. There will be more people participating in the cherry blossom viewing party today, and it is impossible to be busy with just the 4 of us. The reason why Charlotte and Anji didn't stay with Lan Ming and Zi Ming was that apart from the relative safety in Frost Moon Academy, they were also asked to help. Ah, here we come. Ling, who had already sat down on the cushion, stood up and waved to Lan Ming and Zi Ming. In the vestibule, all preparations have been made. Ika watched Lan Ming and Zi Ming join everyone. Charlotte and Anji had already prepared places for them. The flower viewing party has officially begun. Ika found an empty seat and sat in, and ended up sitting between Luoluo and Wuxi. The owner's pupils were separated by Wuxi, as if he was very dissatisfied with the result, and kept poking Wuxi with the tip of the paper umbrella. Cheek, but Wuxi seemed completely unprepared to give up her position. I finally waited until this cherry blossom tree bloomed, brother. Where were we at this time last year, but we didn't come back anyway. But then I asked my classmates about it, and it was true that the cherry blossom tree didn't bloom last year. Brother, I have thought about it since I moved here. This cherry blossom tree, maybe it will not bloom until our happiness is full and can no longer be contained, and it overflows into the air and is absorbed by her. It's a very sensual fantasy, and only a girl made of sugar, spices, and something nice can understand the beauty of it. Although Ika didn't understand it thoroughly enough, Lolo's sense of happiness had been fully conveyed to him. Probably so. The cherry-colored petals falling with the wind landed in Ika's cup, floating gently on the surface of the juice. On the other side, there was enthusiastic clamor from the circle of seniors and student council members, and the leader was indeed the student council president Chiuke, who was always full of energy. The third-year seniors have already graduated from Shimatsuki Academy. Teruya Senpai works at the Defense Bureau of the Imperial Capital, where her elder sister is the director, and she delivered the wedding invitations for Shun and Ruth to everyone. It wasn't until this time that Ika recalled the conversation he had with Teruya Senpai when he was exploring the ruins. He didn't expect that Teruya Senpai liked that person. But when she sent the wedding invitation letter, she wished her sister and the person she liked to be happy and merged with a reluctant smile. Maybe the vines in her heart have been gradually relieved, and then one day, she will meet the second person who makes her life a different color. Lilith Senpai inherited her family from Ms. Elise, and is currently active in the same world as Lan Ming and Zi Ming as a national magician. Senior Xiao is engaged in extremely dangerous work in the Blood Clan. But judging from his character and strength, it is because he is extremely dangerous that he is interesting. They all received invitations from Ika to return to Frost Moon Academy from all over the world to participate in the rare cherry blossom viewing party in several years. Like this, it is extremely rare for anyone to gather together with friends who spent their school days together. After the cherry blossom viewing party was over, Lilith Senpai seemed to have something to say to Ika in private. Because this agreement was a secret between the two, Ika did not tell anyone else. What is Lilith Senpai trying to say? Ika thinks he may have already guessed 8 or 9 points. The blooming cherry blossoms are naturally a pleasing beauty, and the people who appreciate the flowers also constitute a wonderful landscape. Seeing everyone enjoying the fleeting beauty in front of them, Ika naturally smiled. So many things happened in the past 2 years, but now those things seem to never exist. My master, there is such a beautiful scenery in front of your eyes. Appreciating it with your heart will make the scenery foggy. That matter has been pressed in your heart for a long time, right? Are you saying now? Would it be more appropriate to come out? Hello. Ling glared fiercely, but she just picked up the wine cup and sipped it to her lips as if nothing had happened, and looked at everyone with pointed eyes. That thing? Several other people also heard what Guang said to Ling, and they all looked this way. Now Ling really had nowhere to escape. While complaining in her heart, Hikaru shook out her thoughts on her own, while making up her mind as if she had given up something important, and looked at Ika squarely. Being stared at so intently by Ling, although Ika didn't know what was going on, she still straightened her back unconsciously. Ika, you said, that matter will be answered after all the troublesome things are over. That thing. Ah. It was clearly just a promise between Ika and Ling, but Lugo and Way 11, who were listening, immediately understood. Elder brother. Brother Ika. The sight of the three girls on his face made Ika feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. Indeed, Ika has not forgotten that thing. In the 4 months since the troubles were all over, Ika had indeed been thinking seriously about their future. During the winter vacation, the four lived in each other's homes, met each other's parents, and reminded Ika that there were still questions that urgently needed to be answered. Now let's enjoy it first. Isn't it a rare flower viewing event, that matter? I will find a chance to talk about it after the flower viewing event is over. Ha! Not only Ling, but even Lugo and Way 11's gaze became icy cold. Ika actually already had a hazy answer in her heart, but she never thought that they would be asked to say it at this moment. This answer will determine everyone's future, so Ika hopes to convey it to them with the most sincere attitude on the most formal occasion. Everyone seems to be discussing something very interesting. Can I join in? I'm sorry, Zi Ming is always curious about new things, even I can't stop her. Lan Ming said so, but it seemed that she didn't stop Zi Ming at all, but her eyes were shining with anticipation. Eka responded to them with a wry smile, glancing at the seniors from the corner of her eye. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but Lilith Senpai just happened to look this way inadvertently. If it's not a coincidence, Lilith Senpai is probably implying that he remembers the promise after the cherry blossom viewing party. In the season of recovery of all things, love is like a flower, and the girl's heart is throbbing. Such a quietly flowing daily life is the time when everyone stretches out their hands with all their strength, holds them tightly in their palms, and will protect them forever. A year later, Eka and the others will graduate from Frost Moon Academy as third-year seniors and start a new stage of life. Life is doing multiple choice questions that cannot be repeated, and there is no so-called correct answer. There is only one answer in everyone's mind. That's the answer with no regrets, that's the answer with infinite possibilities. The road ahead is full of unknowns and possibilities. There may be disappointments along the way, but there must be hope. The flower of hope connects the fetters. Their lives have gone through the first turning point, and the world in their eyes is not the same as it was at the beginning. But looking ahead, their lives have only taken a small step forward. Therefore, they will not stop and will continue to move forward hand in hand. Image. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 476. Hello everyone, I am Muse Hiking. Thank you so much for being here. It has been 2.5 years since the serialization began in July 2016. Even now that I've gotten to this point, I still can't believe I've actually written such a long story. If there is anything remarkable about such a long story, I won't comment on it myself. However, I am confident that everyone who sees this should give this work a good score. Let's talk about the dark history of conceiving this work here. The idea of writing a novel first came to me because I saw a fan fiction about Dungeons and Warriors on the postbar when I was in junior high school. At that time, I was still one of the adventurers who rushed to save the continent of Arad every day. It was this fan fiction that brought me into contact with novels different from classical literature. Although the host only updates a little bit each time, it is deeply attracted to me, and I will squat on the postbar every day waiting for the update. I don't know which point is particularly attractive to me. It may be that there are cute characters, it may be that there are NPCs who speak different dialogues in the familiar game background, and it is more likely that the novel depicts something that is absolutely impossible to see in the game. New world. That is the emotion that only words can express in the heart. Then, as you can imagine, I started to have a strong interest in novels, and it was at that time that I came into contact with Japanese light novels. The opportunity to become an author is simple. I want to write such a story myself, that's all. I started to use my spare time to write on the draft pad. Yes, I never thought of typing on a computer at that time, I could only write by hand. Ever since, a story framework that was not even a prototype was gradually born. At that time, I didn't make long-form planning, and I only wrote about 100 or 200 words every time I thought of something. The theme is about the adventures of the two brothers and sisters in the world of sword and magic after leaving the village. Later, after going through all kinds of bottlenecks, the framework of the story also became more formal, and only then did it have a real prototype, which is the first volume of the first edition to meet you. And then, the mental journey that I often talk about in the postscript, and the author interview column also talked about it a lot, so I won't say more here. The first volume of the first edition was also reset a few months ago. It can be said that my authorship has not left any dark history at all. Although this work is my immature debut, she will never become a black history, but a child I am extremely proud of. It is precisely because I persisted in writing this work that I am now able to call myself the author. Taking this as an opportunity, I have experienced various things and met various friends. These gains are rare treasures on my way forward. Back to the work and La Silver Machine. During the series, many readers asked me how I planned to write the ending, whose confession Ika would accept and get married in the end, and so on. When I was asked, I also struggled with this kind of question for a long time. A story can have many endings, which can be understood as different world lines, or the choice of Shimon. The carrier that embodies this kind of inclusiveness is average, but light novels are different from average. There is only one main story, which can be presented to readers in the main story, and there is only one ending that makes the main story come to a perfect conclusion. Unfortunately, I'm a wayward author and I want them all. JPG. In the final analysis, the theme of Endless Silver Machine is school battle and harem love. Whether it is the youth love theater in the early stage or the mainline war that broke out in the later stage, they are all part of this work. The most important point is that this is indeed what I originally wanted to write, and I hope that everyone can read the final story with a relaxed mood. So the answer after I struggled for a long time is the final chapter that everyone has read. I think this is their final chapter. An open ending can leave readers with more room for imagination. In other words, I hope readers can continue to tangle instead of me. What is the hazy answer in Ika's heart that will determine everyone's future, and what kind of new storms they will face as prospective graduates? In this way, the 14th volume of Endless Silver Weapon ushered in the season of cherry blossoms and spring romance just like in the story. Editor-in-charge Chi-sama, artist Hung-cha Sensei, and all the staff of King's Hibunko, without you, this work will become a waste manuscript and be buried in my recycle bin forever. I have received a lot of care from you during the 2 years of serialization. I am really grateful. Readers and adults who accompanied me to the last moment, I have already said before, I still can't believe that I have really written such a long story. Thank you for your support all the time, so that we can successfully usher in the end. The manga adaptation project and impression music adaptation project of this work have been fully launched. It is still due to your support to win this honor. Please allow me to express my highest thanks to everyone once again. Please take care of the manga version of Endless Silver Weapon that will meet you soon. Regarding the new work, there are no plans yet. If there will be in the future, I will post it on the top of the comment area as soon as possible, and hope to see you again in the next work. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 477. The End.